So guys, everyone on the other side of the computers, welcome to our fourth panel of Square Meter event about alternative real estate development. This is unfortunately the last panel that we'll be holding in this event, but let's make it interesting. And it's, we still have a lot of information to share. And stay tuned for the next events because we're already planning the next event for autumn. And because of the huge success that we had this event, and all the participants really enjoyed it, so let's start this event. This panel is going to be about technology and technology, how it influences the future, and technology for the better tomorrow. Let's start with introductions. I'm Peter. I'm a co-founder of Square Meter, the one company that's hosting this event, also a container manufacturer, and a passionate person about container architecture. Let's say that. Maybe we can continue. Andrius, please introduce yourself.
Yeah, hello everybody. My name is Andrius. I am a CEO and co-founder of Superhow. Superhow is a private blockchain and artificial intelligence research and development lab. So basically, we work in the fields of innovation. We work on several sustainable future-related projects, basically energy projects, security, circular economies, and such, because the blockchain itself is a powerful tool, basically enabling ecosystems as economies basically to work. And so I'm fully dedicated to this event, and basically I will try to present as much technical insights as possible.
Thank you. Great to have you here. Michal.
Yeah, Michal Okonski, actually. Yeah, I'm CEO and co-founder of Momo Big Technique and then some other companies. But here, this is the applicable just to that conversation, to that event. So we are producing container houses, swimming pools, etc. We are cooperating with a production line back in Poland for food pools. You hosted one of the co-founders yesterday, Stanisław, I believe. Yes, so we strongly here believe like in that kind of like a small, tiny houses living in the small areas. Something like what I believe is the future, especially in the high rising prices of the real estate and uncertainty like what we have now in the market.
Great. Also great to have you on this panel, and looking forward to hear a lot of more information from you. Cesar.
Hello, everybody. I'm Cesar Prados, CTO of Circunomics. And at Circunomics, we are creating a marketplace for EV batteries. The goal that we have is to enable stakeholders of the battery supply chain to sell or recycle or to use EV batteries in second life applications in the next years. As you well know, in 5 years, the OEMs, car manufacturers, they are going to have a tsunami of batteries going back to them, and they have to do something with them. And our goal is to first, as I said, enable a marketplace where those batteries can be traded to recyclers, for instance, and using machine learning and artificial intelligence to detect batteries that can be used in second life applications, like the proposals that you are doing in containers, and be able to improve the supply chain and have an impact in the next future, because we think that not all the batteries, EV batteries, should go to recyclers. We think that to use the EV batteries for other purposes is great. And happy to be here and willing to add my piece of expertise and technology to the panel.
Great. Thank you for joining us. And Maciej, please introduce yourself.
Hello, Peter. First of all, thanks for having me. I was on the previous panel, and I think it was really great to see the perspective of distributed ledger, finance, and containers combined, we can say. It's always great to be around innovative people, so it's always a big inspiration for me. And my name is Maciej Mróz, and I'm a technical and business development manager at FIBARO. FIBARO is a Polish brand which is based on Internet of Things technology for smart home and building automation, we can say. So what we do, we are strictly dealing with smart home, the home which is convenient, safe, secure, and we can say sustainable as well, of course. And since I believe 10 years of operation, we have settled on 6 continents, becoming definitely one of the most popular wireless smart home systems in the world, based on Z-Wave communication protocol. And since July 2018, we are also a part of NICE Group, which is like a large Italian company of multi-international reference, which is also dealing with, generally speaking, automation sector.
Great. So we have a lot of interesting speakers today. I think we have a lot of topics to cover. And maybe let's start with Michael already mentioned something. Let's start with the bottom of this idea. Well, basically, nowadays, I think people tend to want to live in a smaller space. They think for the future and think about how they can save their costs. And well, why we're actually developing container projects, I think answer for the most of the manufacturers is to address this need that people want to live off grid and live in the places where it wasn't previously affordable, and don't build houses that are going to stand there for the next 100 years until someone decides to demolish them. And I think a really important question for us as developers and as manufacturers is how we can make these buildings off grid. How can we actually address the alternative energy market, and how we can implement alternative energies and alternative solutions into our container solutions and off-grid housing solutions. Because let's take, for example, you have a land plot which doesn't have any electrical connections, it doesn't have any sewerage system, it doesn't have any water supply. So what are you going to do? You need to find a solution how you can live there. I think that's why we're gathered here to discuss all of these things, how we can look for the future and how we can actually solve these problems. And I think in the past year, we've seen that COVID has made changes towards that technologies are evolving constantly and everything is becoming more automated. And maybe you guys would like to comment something on this. How do you see the future, and then how do you see it going?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think it's a good question to start the discussion. So it's basically how I see the things and how the things are happening. So basically now, like, the massive decentralization of things is happening, and basically the same with the housing. So everybody wants to have something that is unique, individual, and with this liberty as a fundamental. So basically, that is how everything is moving, and basically the housing is the same. So off-grid living, sustainable living, independent living, independent housing, independent energy supplies, and everything. So that's something that people are, I would say, like, wanting, and that's the direction. And of course the technology is basically that who enables that kind of life. So solar energy, sustainable things, I don't know, lots of things that you can use at your benefit, basically to build such a life for yourself. Even the container-based housing, which is basically the sustainable thing, because you're reusing what has the purpose and has used that purpose for another reasons to live in. That is a beautiful thing. And basically what we need to just understand what is missing in that picture and how to solve those problems, and maybe how to fulfill those dreams of people, basically to live a free life and have a sustainable life, and basically not to be tied to something, for example, energy grids, gas supplies, and everything, and you can do it by yourself. So that's, I think, most important thing. And because we work with the blockchains, with DLTs, it's basically, we see that this is one of the technologies that enables such ecosystems, such independence, basically by providing the means of automation, the means of accounting, the means of peer-to-peer interactions between the ecosystem members. So it's something that will be useful for such living in the future.
Great.
I could add, Andrius, to you that sure we are in a way that somehow we are playing the individuality, and we want to have unique houses and unique whatever, but also I think it's important that we play together, and that we are, as a community, we are able to build something, even if you are not living in the same space or in the same community, that we are able to collaborate, and connecting this with the idea that we can create microgrids for energy, where everybody can contribute to a pool of energy, and this energy can be either it can be sold, or can be borrowed by other community, and then try to enable this kind of be independent, but collaborating with the people around you. Somehow, and this, I think, blockchain can play an important role as a technology that enables this kind of collaboration between people in terms of energy. Imagine that you are able to, you have a great plot of land, and you have a lot of hours of sun, and you are producing a good amount of energy. First, you want to store it, or you want to send it to the grid, and then you have to do something with that. Either someone can borrow this energy, or you can sell it. The only way to do that right now is to operate with the big companies, which has a lot of downsides. But I think that in the next future, if we are able to use technologies like the blockchain, focus on energy, we're able to create a kind of circular flow of energy between people living in different places using alternative source of energies.
But do you see this grid as like an open space? For example, you have this community living off grid, where there are like 50 to 50 houses. Can they have their own grid, or do they still have to be connected to the central grid of the large company supplying the energy?
Well, right now they are developing microgrids, and there is a lot of research in microgrids, and there it's possible to have a kind of sub grid of the big microgrid, and so you don't have to connect yourself to the big grid. You need to make an investment for that, but it's something that is doable. You create the proper financial structure, so that not the founders of this community or this space are paying for the whole investment of the first deployment. And I don't know if you are aware of Energy Web. Energy Web is technology stack based on blockchain that they are trying to create a ecosystem of companies, power companies, automotive companies, mobility companies, and so on. And the end goal of this stack of technology is to enable exactly that. That you, as individual participating in this energy market, you are able to sell and to borrow energy in a transparent way. So I think that is quite possible in the next future. The technology on one hand, like blockchain, and technology like Second Life EV batteries, which reduce the price of the storage system, I think is going to enable a bunch of opportunities that right now is difficult to foresee, because in the way that we are operating now is that you go online and you try to find a power supplier which is cheap and is using alternative technologies or clean energy, and that's it. So I think it's difficult for us to understand what are the potentials that are technologies like blockchain and Second Life batteries are opening. So I'm quite optimistic. I think that there is nothing against I don't think that there is anything against that we can create microgrids where communities can share and can borrow or can sell energy, of course.
I think this is really interesting, and let's hope that it is the future.
Okay, you know that regulators are going to also to play a role there. So
of course, I think they're gonna have their saying, and I think it's in their interest. It is they might be against that, but let's see how it goes.
unfortunately, yes, the regulators aren't promoting the solutions, individual solutions what they are talking about. So yeah, there will be always a big movement against it, like as everything what allows you to live your way. But yeah, I mean that's what you are doing, Cesar. Like the reusing of the batteries, recycling it. That also is something what I guess can help very much, like in living independent. Like for, let's say, I mean, we were talking with on the entry meeting about digital nomads, etc. Like the only thing you need then, it's energy, water. Water is pretty easy because you have underground water sources almost all everywhere, especially in Europe. It's pretty easy to get. The sewage is not a problem. But the electricity, storing energy, this is also something what is pretty pricey. I mean, I was doing some calculations with several companies about that, offering that kind of things. I mean, this is very often exceeding the cost of the building, so that is a problem currently. But yeah, I mean, like when, as you say, like when you not only you, but when people will start working on reusing batteries, perhaps then it will lower the price of them. The technology will become cheaper, because installing solar panels, this is one thing, but you have to storage it somehow, just to make possible to operate during the night, operate during the darker months, etc., etc. So yeah, this is a challenge for me in the terms of living off grid.
And guys, also probably the cost of energy is also worth mentioning here. I'm not sure about your countries, but for example, in Poland, when we have like a very high exposure to, let's say, CO2 emissions, because of most of the energy is produced directly from coal, and probably, as you know, the carbon emissions, the market is surging currently. So probably that will be also for some people the way to think that I have to be self-reliant. Maybe I can spare money on it, and I will not take a large carbon footprint and all this stuff. So probably maybe also the way for countries with high exposure to carbon monoxide, dioxide
Exactly.
emissions.
I think this is very interesting, because now, as you guys also mentioned, I think about alternative energies are great, and then solar panels are also great. But yeah, for now, the biggest question is definitely the storage. Well, one option that is most widely used, I guess, is you can have solar panels, you can have the energy, you can produce the energy, but you have to be connected to the grid, and you can give it to the grid, and then afterwards you can get it back, and you have the 0% of costs at the end, but still you have to be connected to the general grid. And I think, which we're discussing right now, that you can have your off-grid grid. I think that's a future, and that's something we should actually all be looking forward to.
Yeah, I see some car manufacturers are now offering reconnecting their electric cars. I think Hyundai came with that, installing 240-volt plugs like in the trunk of the cars. This is also something interesting. So you can basically, charge the car and also use the car as the battery storage for that. But I don't know, the capacity of the battery, how long it lasts. But it's for sure certainly something interesting.
There are several startups basically working on that solution. There is one startup who is providing the kit, basically, who could convert your electric vehicle to the home battery fully. So basically, it means that you can charge fully your battery of the car, go to your place that is somewhere off grid, and just you connect your car and have an energy for several days, basically for general purposes, and have this possibility. But that is also interesting in that microgrid example. For example, if you can import the energy from outside, so you're basically importing the energy using your vehicle, basically in that ecosystem that is closed. So that means that you have to have the means of balancing, and also balancing the who is providing and who is paying, basically, for that provided energy. So it's something interesting. And personally, we are working on one research project about those independent microgrids, and using the blockchain for accounting of of the transactions of energy. So basically, and we have this in mind that there could be energy that is some sort of imported inside, into this grid, and you have to have the means to balance that with ecosystem needs and financial capacity, basically.
So you are saying that we should be able to tokenize energy somehow.
Yeah.
Because it's an easy asset. Energy is energy.
Yeah.
So it doesn't change so much the energy that you are producing. So your energy, I don't know where you are based, sorry, but I'm based in Germany. So the energy that I can produce from sun is not better than yours. This is the best thing of electricity.
Yeah.
So there is no quality. So who cares? And if we tokenize energy, I think, I don't know, it opens a lot of possibilities. I was thinking, when you throw the question of, okay, we can use a container and we sit it wherever we want. I'm from the south of Europe, and for me, the first question was, okay, and we're not going to speak how to get water, because water is difficult to get. But Michal, you were saying, well, water is easy to get. The difficult part is to get electricity. So my mind was directly pointing, to the south of Spain, where you have some parts of the country where it's a complete desert. There is no water.
Yeah.
And I was thinking that maybe a water tank, a trunk with a water. I have seen when it was outside and it was in summer in the south. There is no water. There is no water means, and they bring the water with wind trucks. If it's an e-truck and you're able to produce energy, and this energy has been tokenized, I can pay the water with energy. Okay. And that for me would enable me a lot of things. Okay, I don't have water. I'm not going to pay for the water means. I don't care. I don't know for the things, but for water, if it's a e-trunk, okay. How much it is the energy that you need for getting from point A to my house, plus some money I have to pay the driver, but.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. It's in those for example independent ecosystems, not the money is the issue, basically the resources. So it is something similar to resource-based economy or some sort of other economy, which is basically you have to have the most stable means of exchanging. So tokenizing some resource basically for exchange of any other services and goods, and you're good to go. So basically, you can have even food provided by some of ecosystem members, and basically you just need to have the same value of something to exchange. And I think that in the future, the blockchain has a power, basically as a technology to make it happen, because the blockchain as such is independent itself, and it is like a trust protocol for any kind of transactions, no matter what. It can be any transaction. So basically, we just need to reinvent the economy models and to think how to make it sustainable. Because current economy, I wouldn't say that it is sustainable, because it is, there is no closed cycle. Everything is quite open, and you can penetrate different parts of economy and ruin everything. But basically, if you could create this something sustainable within the ecosystem, you could make that ecosystem live for lots of days and basically independently, like those people that are living in Amazonia jungles, fully off grid and for thousands of years sustainable without any interactions with a civilization. Yeah, of course, we're not about that, about going fully 10,000 of years at in a history back, but we're talking about something that could be fully, sustainable, liberal, and up to the living of the people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you don't need to sacrifice much, actually. As you said, the blockchain technology is something what allows you to tokenize everything, and what Cesar was also mentioning. You can sell some certain goods what you are producing also. So here, blockchain technology is going ahead of anyone who really wants to do things more independently. But I mean, like about the water, I will give you one interesting fact maybe you heard, but the biggest underground water source is actually under the Sahara Desert, in the area where you have no water. It's dry, it's no vegetation, nothing. There was a huge project in Algeria, unfortunately stopped, and also like in Libya. But yeah, you have water everywhere, but it's difficult to get to that.
You can just tokenize and sell it as a water futures.
Yeah, exactly.
Hopefully, no one in Wall Street is listening to you. Hopefully.
Next week we were gonna see the newspaper articles. We're gonna tokenize the water in Sahara Desert. Okay. And when you discuss
what is the easiest way just to create the stable currency is just tokenize the non-excavated gold as a futures and sell it. So what is the best place to keeping that safe? Underground.
Yes, dig it and then keep it there. There's a lot of projects when they're actually digging in all the nuclear power waste. Yes, I mean, it won't be more. I mean, probably won't be more. They're closing all the nuclear power plants in this region. So yes, you can tokenize it. Want to see it.
Now that we are speaking about circularity and sustainability, what about water? Do you have any concept for containers that are capable to recycle water waste or something like this? I have seen once the project of Bill Gates, where he's using water waste and somehow doing a kind of purification of the water and drinking the water directly, and it was coming from toilets, the water. So it was something really challenging. I don't know if we will be able to create a kind of container sanitizer water thing. I don't know if you have heard about it, because it could be interesting also for people living completely independently.
I actually have heard about it and then saw some videos about the water recycling, which was involved with Bill Gates. But yesterday in our panel discussions, we actually Michal's business partner actually mentioned the idea of power pipe heat recovery, which is when you use the shower water that you actually you use for showers from the boiler, and then afterwards you just collect this wastewater, which is heating up your home. I think the basic idea behind that was that, but since yesterday I haven't researched the idea. Maybe Michal can tell a little bit more about it.
Yeah, it just allows the circulating the wastewater from the shower, or also not only from the shower, but all the warm water or the cold water during the warm seasons, of course, circulating around the home. So it's extending the power. The power has to be made, out of ideally a tin or something what is letting the heat or the cold out pretty easily. It's a very simple idea. There is nothing to break. There are no mechanical parts, but I mean it's not commonly used because I don't know. So far, the prices and etc. of the energy, I mean, were relatively low. But I mean, it's the case when you are trying just to live off grid. Yes. Then you're appreciating those small amounts, like what you can save, what you can keep there. When you have to produce the energy, where you actually pay for the water more than living in the city. So, the idea of that is pretty simple. It's called power pipe. The technology is patented by one Canadian company. I don't remember the name of them exactly, but you can probably easily Google it. Yeah.
Do you have any experience on installing heat pumps within the containers, or not really?
Yes, I think it's most commonly used, the heat pumps, but not using the heat from the ground. You can use the air-to-air heat pumps, which are just basically like a conditioner in your house. It just uses the heat pump of the air, and you have this outside panel of the container, and then you have this inside. So basically, it supplies up to it depends on the size of the heat pump, but it can supply the whole container with just one heat pump, and you can actually have it for different zones of the house. It depends on the money that the customer is willing to invest in this heating solution. But also yesterday we talked about that is if you're building a bigger container project, let's say for example like 30 to 50 containers, then it's possible also to use heat pump systems, but you just use different kinds of heat. You use the ground heat or you use the water heat, and then it's more sustainable. And because the air-to-air heat pump, it is efficient, but it still works on electricity. So at some point, it's not as efficient as if you use the water or the heat from the ground.
Another option is something what is very popular in the rocky areas, like whole Scandinavia. You have this bergvärme. Bergvärme is a pipe drilled into the rock, a couple hundred meters down. And that really, I mean, like one drilling is efficient for the whole house. Basically, you don't need an external source of power or anything like that to heat or cold the house. So we are very, very popular here. A bit pricey solution because you need a specialized devices, machinery to do it. But then the only thing what you have inside is like a small heat exchanger, what allows you to blow the air around the house in the mechanical ventilation. But it's the same technology, but just coming from a little bit different source. Like another thing is also when you are placing the pipes like under the ground, like what I think is more popular, let's say in Poland, you dig the pipe. I don't know exactly, it depends from the size of the property, but under some level of the ground, we have a certain kind of temperature, yes, what is constant during the whole year, 150, 160, 80 centimeters. I'm not an expert from that, but this is also pretty easy and cheap solution. But it's not drilled vertically. You're placing it horizontally, so you need to have a little bit bigger plot just to allow it.
Great.
There are several companies basically in Lithuania that are working in a water treatment, so basically with a bioculture. So I know that one of the companies is even having this like an output clean water that you can drink basically from any waste, even the sewers. And there is also a company who is working in a different field, so it's basically using the waste as organic matter for production of methane, like methane gas, which could be used for different types of energy source, heating, electricity generators, and basically by burning that. So like there are some options to think and to see into that, because that also that area is progressing and basically providing good results, as well as the hydrogen as a one of the sources of energy, basically that could be potentially, I think, a big game changer in energy field. So basically, of course, there is a problems of how to store hydrogen and how to produce it efficiently. There are some challenges. I know a couple of companies. We work with one basically who has the advanced technology who could provide clean hydrogen 75% more efficiently than other technologies in the field. But the technology itself today, it's a high tech. It uses lasers, magnets, and it's like a container itself. So it's a couple of containers, and you just need a water, and you're good to go, basically.
Really, really interesting. So, guys, maybe let's switch the topics a little bit, and let's go a little bit into the home automation systems. And well, if speaking of containers, one of the main business ideas and one of the main business goals is to serve the Airbnb sector. For example, we talked about the off-grid housing, and if you own an Airbnb, then you need to be connected with the home technologies and be able to check it from wherever you are. So there comes the Wi-Fi technologies and other home supply technologies. Maybe, Maciej, you can tell us a little bit more about it.
Sure, absolutely. So actually, you can do that now with no problem. Like remote access management is a normal thing in smart home automation. You can do that just simply having like a digital log, which is, let's say, associated with one of the technologies, like for example, Wi-Fi, Z-Wave, or Zigbee, and the bridge which is enabling you to, for example, change the PIN codes, etc. So yes, you can absolutely do that. Of course, in smart home market, we are facing many challenges, which are, let's say, not making people very aware of what the smart home is exactly. And there are multiple, as you can probably see, technologies like, for example, Zigbee, Wi-Fi, Z-Wave, Bluetooth Low Energy, Thread, etc. And these technologies are not compatible with each other, so it may be a bit of a hassle for new runners to choose a particular technology. But we are currently seeing like a collaborative breakthrough, let's say, standards and alliances that are forming to bring all of these things together, we can say. But sure, no problem. To cut a long story short, you can remotely fully manage your smart home. Of course, you have to be connected to the internet. You cannot omit that. But the great thing about some of the technologies is that actually when you are, let's say, inside the local network, so you are inside your flat or inside your container, you can still take advantage of full control of your smart home, for example, using mobile app without internet connection. But of course, when you are outside, like in work or on vacation, for example, the internet connection is absolutely necessary. But we also seeing like a decentralization in internet technology. Probably you've heard of Space Link, I believe, the project by Elon Musk. So yeah, all these things are coming together, I believe.
So basically, if you are owning an Airbnb and you have a tenant that is squatting in your home, you can cut off the electricity and he will go willingly.
Absolutely, yes.
So that is perfect. I think that this is the technology that we're looking for in the future.
You can cut off the water, for example, no problem.
you can see it from your camera that he's in the shower and then cut off the water. So basically, he leaves then.
That's right.
I think that's the biggest challenge with automation will be the security. So this is the biggest issue today. Basically, everybody knows a couple of big incidents, basically, and I say big, like Iran, big, like when the whole nuclear power grid was compromised just by faking data to the certain data input, basically, and flooding the reactors with the water. So basically, that's something that should be not forget when doing the automation. How you make it secure. Also, I think the GDPR and data privacy is the next big challenge. So if you, as an owner, can connect and, for example, see via camera what is happening, so you can, like, how to say, you are neglecting basically, or you could neglect the privacy of the person who is staying at your home. So basically, how to balance all that and how to make it secure, how to not breach the privacy of the person, and how to still have this owner's right to own your property, basically, and to evict if it is not paid or something like that. So basically, we still have to have means of controlling that. So I think that is something to discuss also when doing the automation and thinking about that. And in our research, we also see that blockchain could be used for that because it works with the cryptography and private public key infrastructures. So it is basically, I live in Lithuania. We have this electronic signature, which is also private public key infrastructure, and it is fully secure. So why not to use the blockchain for example, for those I don't know, let's call those smaller scale projects, because like digital identity as governmental thing is a huge thing, and the user identity as the for example the Airbnb thing is a lesser, let's say like that. But I think the challenge is the same: how to make that efficient, secure, how to not to breach the privacy and everything. So this is something to think about.
Absolutely, you are right. Security and privacy It's major trending topic in smart home automation market. Maybe even the most popular, just ahead of the interoperability between particular technologies, we can say. And there are a lot of, I think it should be absolutely somehow regulated. And when it comes to using blockchain for the security, I believe that there's one, like a very popular standard now, which is called Matter. And this is the alliance of the top industry leaders like Apple, Google, NXP Semiconductors, Silicon Labs, etc. We are also the part of the alliance, and they are planning somehow to embrace blockchain into security aspects. I'm not a big expert on that, I will tell you, but definitely there's the way these guys are going, absolutely. And the fun fact is that, for example, it's quite a busy topic in the United States currently that my smart home get hacked, etc. But the funny thing is that actually these are not hacks. The hacks takes place when you are hacking something, and the issue here is that people are using the same login and passwords for everything. They're using the same password, for email address, yes, and they're using the same address, for example, for the Amazon account, which enables, let's say, hacker to enter into their smart home and, for example, pick the children using Ring cameras, for example, and tell strange things to children in house. But these are not hacks, so we have to make people aware that they should protect their data, their passwords. Maybe we should embrace some kind of a two-factor authentication standards as well.
But when speaking of, for example, hacking your smart home device or hacking your phone to access your home, how is it possible, or is it inaccessible, or how could you comment? What are the steps FIBARO, for example, are taking to prevent such actions in future?
So we are using some kind of a two-factor authentication, of course. So you have to, let's say, make a double login into your account, but I'm not sure if how I should answer this question. People can hack, like, CIA, FBI, so they can also hack your smart home, and that's true, absolutely. And it's possible, you can simply log into your, for example, I don't know, Google or Amazon account. If you don't have any two-factor authentication and you are using the same passwords, they can somehow maybe breach your privacy. But there was incidents in mainly the topic is quite busy, I would say, in United States currently. The another thing maybe you've heard of is, like, for example, Amazon Ring is they made the move to share the recordings from Ring doorbells. Okay, so these are the Ring is company which is subsidiary of Amazon, we can say, and police can take advantage of the recordings of your Ring device. And it was also something that was concerning people, like, hey, how is it possible that this one is my device and police is using it as some kind of a street surveillance camera?
Yeah, I think it's a major breach in people's privacy, so that shouldn't be allowed.
Yes, these are absolutely topics which needs to be addressed and we have to face.
Yeah, I think it depends on the vector of attack, what you want and the purpose, what you want to do. Because one thing, you can hack the system and basically simulate that you're a user and try to play with some configuration. Another way is to just impersonate some for example, sensor or something like that. So it's like at the low level, like IoT device intrusion level, where you can, for example, I don't know, raise the temperature of the house just by giving the false data to the sensor of heating. So it depends what you want to do. It's a different purposes, different attacks, and I know in some fields of hackers, it is quite a sport, basically, to hack not a system but IoT device, and basically to get intrusion point from the through the sensor or some very unsecure device that you connect to your ecosystem, and that device is used as a point of intrusion. So it is just of course, I think what you can do with that is limited, but still, it's like some hackers just use that for sports, just for fun, and plays with that. And some of those could be used for some purposeful, like with some purpose, for example, to play with someone's head and make him leave.
Yes, absolutely. But fun fact is that many people are quite afraid, for example, about digital access and door locks, etc. But the truth is that it's simpler to simply destroy like a classical lock than hacking the digital one. To be honest with you, you just need some kind of a pick lock gun, and you can destroy like classical lock like in 15 seconds. So, but yeah, this is like normal thing that people are maybe a bit scary about all these things. And regarding the networking layer and low level, let's say architecture, hacking the particular devices, for example, in our network it's extremely hard because it's using like a very advanced AES encryption standard. So that's not easy, and you need like probably a lot of low knowledge to do that, and you need to be very close to the network. So from my point of view, it's really easier to take a brick and throw into somebody's window and have a fun, let's say, and not doing like all of this hacky, strange thing, to be honest with
you. Here, where I'm pretty concerned is that at some point we're going to get a level of our houses are going to be a kind of IoT devices itself. They're going to have plenty of sensors, and we're going to control everything with a kind of BMS or something like this, a control unit at your place. And what I can imagine is that the people wants to hack your control unit just to, I don't know, to switch off the heating during winter and ask you for 2,000 euros. Okay, transfer me 2,000 euros within 24 hours, and you will get your heating back. This is going to be, I think, quite easy. You were describing, Andrius, how easy it is to get access to networks through IoT sensors and devices, and this is not going to change. They are working a lot on making the protocols more secure, but still, if the hardware is easy to hack and the software or the firmware of the sensor is not bulletproof, we're going to have plenty of weakness on our systems and on our IoT house. And I'm concerned about this. I'm concerned that they're going to make a kind of a small scale attacks in order to get money. And this is something that is going to be, in my opinion, a big thing. I have experienced something similar here when I'm living. They hack in school. The school had a digital system to get access to the school, and they were asking 1,500 euros. And it was nothing. 1,500. This is nothing. Yeah. Easy to pay. It's like, I don't know, it's like this kind of in South America, unfortunately, sometimes, there are small groups operating and getting people from taxes and getting really small money in order not to make a lot of noise, not to activate the police or the federal police or something like this. And I think in my opinion, it's going to be in this direction. So small attacks to individuals to get a small amount of money, but do it in a massive way, and then it's going to scale as a business idea.
Yeah, that's so yes, you may be absolutely right. Like you mean probably some kind of a so-called ransomware attacks, like the analogical we have seen like a few months back in the United States. I'm not sure if you guys maybe heard of it, when they hacked the pipeline, one of the major ones, and the provider was like, okay, I will pay you $1 million just like that. And they did that. So,
but this one made a lot of noise and made a lot of people in the States aware of the quickness of the cybersecurity in the United States. This probably is going to happen again and again, but I don't want to happen. I don't want to see in the near future that is going to happen to me, and then I have to pay 1,000 euros to switch on the heating in winter. So.
Yeah, so we have to go off grid, basically speaking, and that will be more difficult, maybe even impossible to hack us. Maybe. I don't know.
recently here in Sweden was a case, shops of the one big company, Coop, were closed for a couple of days, all of them in the whole Sweden, because none of the paying system was working. Not all the terminals were hacked. And the result of it was actually quite pleasant for the customers, because when they reopened them yesterday, most of the products were sold. I mean, those with a short expiry date. So I don't know what was the consequences for the company. What was the reason of that? But there was a couple of articles in the newspapers that like the system was hacked, and everything was closed. But yeah, it's certainly like a big threat for all of us. And, I don't know how to even secure my home properly. I have some cameras at home. I have some. I mean, a lot of devices connected to my phone. Either I lose phone and probably someone have access to that. It's very scary idea, and would be good to know like how to secure yourself. I know I changed recently some modems, etc. It was advice because I had some struggles with the connectivity, but then everything is connected. You start half of the home half of the home via my phone, mobile phone.
Yes, you need good firewall first of all. But guys, we can apply the case into an industry, for example. So we are also speaking like of industry 4.0. Everything will be like IoT in, let's say, in manufacturing plants or digital twins, etc. So yeah, absolutely. Security is something we should have in our minds.
Yeah, I think it's actually the most important issue when we're speaking now of this. Then I think if you're a good hacker, then I guess everything is accessible to you. So we should all think about what are the steps that we can just take to prevent it. Let's go back to the topic. For example, you have a container house which is completely connected, which is with a smart lock and with everything. Well, let's take it as an example. You are a hacker. You go to the house. You can see that there's a smart lock. You don't have my device. I'm, for example, the owner. How can you access it? Maybe some of you have the idea. Is it easy to do it, or is it difficult? Maciej, maybe you have some comments on this.
Oh, if you have maybe any kind of idea what kind of email address, let's say, and maybe a password, the guy.
But that's it. They only need the password and the email address. If they don't know that, then it's quite difficult to access it.
Absolutely, yes. It's
okay.
It's not easy to hack, let's say, smart home, or this is not like a very straightforward thing. Yes, but if you are protected, yes, if you're aware, if you have like some kind of a two-factor authentication, it's like really, 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 really difficult.
Very
speaking.
Manufacturers should make people aware. Hey guys, use two-factor authentication. Yes, this is some kind of a mission for us.
Yeah, but two-factor authentication, thinking of opening the door of my house using a two-factor authentication, I don't know if I want to use it, because sometimes I want to get to my door and open it, not to two times authenticate myself. So this is also the user experience. How can we improve security without decreasing user experience?
Yeah, you can use classical key as well with digital locks. No problem with that. They are prepared for that, and that's a good move from my point of view. Like having like a digital lock which does not have option to use like a classical key. Okay, not sure about that, but most of them have this option. And maybe the nice trend is these so-called NFC chips, for example, which are built into your phone. So you can open the door lock using mobile phone, and probably maybe you will also be a bit scary about that. Somebody has my phone, he can do everything, but please believe me, when Generation Z will come to real estate market, to container market, you will see that smart home market will be extremely booming.
Yeah, because I mean, having an option to unlock the house via smartphone, now we can use smartphone to unlock the car. I mean, this is also a bit scary, via app or directly.
Yes.
but then like it's bringing everything just to one device. You lose it, and then you cannot pay for anything. You don't have access to your home. You don't have access to your car. It's a bit scary. I mean, like from that point of view, yeah. I mean, the mechanical solutions are the alternatives, as you say, Maciej. Like when you have an option also to physically unlock something, this is very precious. But also, I mean, I think Ford was recently applying the technology with the unlocking the car via the Face ID. I mean, there are cameras similar like in your iPhones, like detecting the face and unlocking that. How safe is that, for instance?
It's I think relatively safe, but it has big privacy issues. So basically, even the fingerprints. I saw a couple of we have a couple of offices basically in Lithuania that in order to enter the building you have to use the fingerprint. So basically, what it does, you have to have this database of fingerprints. So what happens if someone will hack that database and will take your fingerprints, for example, which is a biometric data, which is one of the highest basically level of privacy should be like. So I think it's a good point. It's a good direction, but how to balance it with the privacy and how to manage. I think there is also another perspective. Maybe technically it's to use the private keys and asymmetric cryptography, because that basically that password it's a quite low level security measure, even having a like very sophisticated password. But like asymmetric cryptography and private and public key infrastructure could be used to identify the person basically who is entering the building. But how to make it user-friendly? This is the biggest issue. So Cesar already told. So how to make it such the feeling the same as you're just opening the door. So I think that we will have some very convenient and very easy to use products. For example, face locks or some fingerprint or something like that. That is just touching, just entering, and that's it. But then we will have this issue with privacy, with data protection and everything, which should be cared. And then we will have those who are basically privacy by design improved solutions, but they will lack the usability feeling. And this is I think in all topics and all solutions that is building, it's this sophistication versus usability. So basically, this is something that you have to lose in order to satisfy the usability, and just to lose something on the usability side to have a higher level of security. So there is no straightforward solution that could be and easy to use and secure by design without any issues.
Yeah, you will always, I think, have a couple kind of customers. The public customers, institutions, companies, they will be always more aware of that. Like how important it is, and like they rather probably want to keep the things safe. So I mean, like two-factor authorization, etc. That wouldn't be probably an issue to implement there. But if you're a private customer, someone who really wants to have an easy access, something secure, not think about losing the key, etc. Then like those things like the fingerprints plus face recognition. This is good, but as you say, like it's coming to the where the data is storage, and then probably small companies with relatively low budget, they won't be able to provide a high security for that, and then it's coming to monopoly for the big companies, big players who can provide that, who can assure you that like the data won't be stolen in any way, and this is sort of killing the market at the same time.
Maybe we can put, Andrius, maybe we can put this data somehow into the blockchain, and let's say maybe.
No, maybe I think it's a better thing not to put the data in a blockchain, because the blockchain is not meant for but basically to use a blockchain as a as a data privacy management tool. So basically, who has an access to that particular data of yours, and who used that data and when. And also, there is a big topic, not in a housing and not in a retail business, but basically in a decentralized digital identities and self-sovereign identities, which is a big thing. How to identify the person in a digital world, how to prove that this person is that person who it is, basically. And there is big topic that I think there will be some outcomes that could be used for easy access and identification at the IoT level, for example, using the phone, using, for example, maybe some sort of similar technology as so phone has this SIM card which has the cryptographical engine. So basically you can put any secure information into that, and basically it can sign transactions. So we can, like, it could be used potentially for safe interactions with some devices. So it could be used as some authentication measure. But still, I think it is far away from usability perspective. And that will be solved in several years, I think, because the market is moving in that direction. Digital identities and distributed digital identities is a big thing, and we also believe in that. And I think it will help also to identify the person on a housing applications and smart devices and IoTs and everything. So there is even that big discussion about the identification of IoT devices. So basically, putting the certificates, which are basically you are waitlisting those certificates in your ecosystem, and then it is very hard to penetrate with infiltrated sensor or something the system, because the system works with only the devices that it knows, and there are lots of interesting ideas from that. And I think in several years we will see some fruits also already coming from that.
And what's your opinion about KCI blockchains? It's a really interesting maybe technology in this case. Maybe you know, Andrius, I know a bit about it, and I've been in contact with one company who developed the concept and technology, and maybe you can introduce us to the concept and give us pros and cons of using this kind of technology for privacy.
Yeah, it is basically they're working on that privacy concept also by providing the digital identity as one of the features and having the privacy as well. So I think those there is only one of the examples. I think there are more and which are directly how to say focused on IoT industry. So the connection of IoT devices, the identification, even the interactions between IoT devices, which is, I think, potentially the big thing in the future. So, for example, the car could be the object of economy as earning money, participating in the revenue, participating in cost structure. I think it is early stage to say what will be the outcomes and how much of that will be basically useful. But it's a good point to look into that, and I think they have a good technology to start with, and this is just the beginning. And something will catch up. That idea will improve that, and basically work from that, and the ball is rolling.
Here I'm going to get a bit futuristic, but I'm afraid that we're going to be working on this kind of problems. Okay, while there is a small group of people working in quantum computing, and then in 20 years we're going to say, okay, we got something safe. Okay, we develop protocols, architecture, and everything, and then there come in those quantum guys saying, look, my quantum computer is going to hack your system in a matter of minutes. And this is why I was telling about this KCI blockchain that's trying to use keyless technology, because you cannot hack this kind of technology using quantum computing. It's not vulnerable for quantum. And
it's a big topic about quantum. It's I think the market it's over threatened by the quantum computing currently, because it is like the computer at the early beginning. What quantum computing can do currently, because it can solve very narrow field of problem, and still without you don't know if the outcome that you received is correct. So
I do totally agree. I was just visiting in Delft in Netherlands, the facility that the university is developing with Intel. We engaged with them. We were providing technology, and I was impressed because I was always thinking that those are guys experimenting and so on, and it's true that they're experimenting, but the level of maturity of the components that you need for a quantum computing is already quite amazing. But of course, I hope that it's something that's going to be my son's problem and not my problem. So.
Yeah, it's I think the market understands the threats, understands where it goes, and I know there's also this quantum keys. There are quantum resistant cryptography that people are working on. That even there's some blockchains which are already using this quantum resistant cryptography. And from that perspective, the progress and innovation is also always happening. So, for example, now FBI and CIA are reinvestigating and reopening the cases which were, for example, some data encrypted with SHA-2 standard. And now it is fully hackable. So they have all means to hack those and to decrypt the information. So it just, the matter of time, what is the level of security like now and what it will be 10 years after now. So it will be totally different things. But the technology, I think even the blockchains that are currently used, they will evolve and they will improve the measures of the security to the level of the potential threats. So that's something not to forget.
Yeah, that's true. And all in all, this is how it's possible that speaking about containers, we ended up speaking about quantum computing. It's really interesting. But I like your idea, guys, Peter, because housing is always a concept where almost everything that is around us is going to be related. And in your idea, with a container, is even more related, and you are quite completely open and permeable to the technology. So it's congratulations, guys. I think it's a great business idea, and you're going to have a lot of fun because you're going to interact almost with all technology that's going to be around us and in the future. This is amazing.
Yeah, we also think that because, containers, as I mentioned in the panels yesterday, where with container architecture, you cannot serve the whole market. If we're speaking of construction materials and living facilities and office spaces, for example, containers can serve a smaller market niche, which is when you need to move the offices, when you need mobile solutions, when you need great design, which you can actually move. If you have a short-term lease of the land, let's say for 10, 15 years, these are the best solutions to use. Because in the previous panel about financing, I was listening when my colleagues were moderating the whole thing, and what came into my mind, for example, containers are the best solution, and there are actually no substitutes when thinking of mobile buildings that you can set up in one place and move after 10 years. There's modular buildings, there are other types of buildings which you can move, but the structure of them are not so strong. And with these containers, we can actually be pioneers also in technology, because we're willing to experiment. The people that are working in this industry, the manufacturers, the architects, we think differently. We before this event, we were actually talking with a lot of manufacturers, with all of you guys, and we understood that all of us have one thing in common. We have the same vision. We see the future. We see the technology evolving. We see the technology can help us. But I think in general, the main idea is that we see the same vision and we're going the same direction, and which is great, because that's why we're organizing these events, to share the ideas, to share the knowledge, and actually to push the ideas to a whole other level, and then to evolve the market.
Definitely. And I think it's even more important to understand why it is happening, and basically why this direction is moving forward. And I think what you're doing and what you're trying to do is even more, because tapping into that all the pool of possible and potential technologies to use, you can create something beyond your own imagination. So some ecosystem-based, environment with your project in Riga, basically, which could be a potential, I don't know, prototype for future improved, I don't know, economies, housing communities, or something like that. How to make it better, how to make it more efficiently, how to reuse what was used before, how to do things that in current modern life we sometimes forget. We take things for granted. For example, water, electricity, everything. We use those. We earn money by working, and we're not thinking about why we need to think about sustainable life, why we need to think about something. But there are lots of people who are, after some time in business and some time like living there, seeing those things, that there is another way of life which is more balanced, and it should be, because you shouldn't be the, how to say, you shouldn't be the screw or the tool of the economy. You should be, the economy should work for you. So basically that is the opposite side of understanding how things work. And that is something that to catch on and basically to work with. I think just understand that you're not some piece of the economy that is working for that economy, but basically using the economy for yourself. But for that, you have to create this sustainable economy model, which is not you're not working for it, but basically it works for you.
Yeah, it's very true. It's very true. We are all tightening ourselves to the system, to the big system. Like you're relying on so many partners. You want to build a house, you have to do it in a certain way. You want to do things. You need to borrow money, etc. There is always like a better way, the individual way. Like you not necessarily need to live, like deep in the forest, but you can do the same thing. All you need is just a piece of land, and there is a plenty of ideas. Containers really fit into that, because this is a relatively cheap technology. This is something what was mentioned, like it's lasting for years. You can use the recycled ones, you can use almost new ones, one-way containers, like if you are really appreciating something that is looking fresh. You have a multiply ways like of arranging it. This is like a Lego, yes. Like you can apply whatever you want, you can place it wherever you want, however you want, and at the end, like the bill what you will get for that, like it's relatively small, and also there is a big trend of promoting like things that are unnecessary, like big houses, having I don't know, like a summer house here and there. Like, but do you really need it? Is it something like what really will improve your quality of living? I don't think so. And there, it comes like a modular buildings. Okay, this is not only containers, not only, but the containers are just the easiest form of it. This is something what really solves a lot of problems. It's not only about living; it's also about arranging the spaces, co-working spaces. It's about, I don't know, having your own gym, about having your own swimming pool or whatever, and then you can do it by yourself. You can hire a company who will just bring you a ready product. You wait a couple of weeks for that. So really, like it's simplifying everything, and that's why I think this will be a growing trend. Not for everyone, because not, we aren't the same. Like different people have different needs, but then if you're facing some problems, if you're someone is showing the solution, then you might change your mind, and this is it. I really strongly believe in it. What we are, like as I was saying before we started being live, like we are also looking here for a plot in Stockholm. just to make a small community. I mean, like the office space plus a small living space and a couple extra demo objects, like for the potential customers just to see and then look at it, and being able just to find out, okay, how it's not that terrible. There's plenty of videos on YouTube actually, this encouraging people for that idea, like saying like this is not really eco-friendly, this is pretty harmful for the living because there is like a lot of chemicals, etc., etc. You can find a lot of really misleading information, and I mean, why? So it is good to promote it in some way, and this is, I mean, the whole idea of that what we are having here in this webinar. It is great. I don't know, maybe some people will see it after all. I hope so. But also that, like building those spaces, it might change mind of some people and yeah, make their lives better.
Yeah, I totally agree. And yesterday in one of the panels, the architect who actually designed the startup village in Amsterdam, he mentioned, which was a very, very valid point, when speaking of containers. Containers are made of cordon steel, well, basically metal. And metal will always be a recyclable material. After even 10, even 20 years, you can still recycle it. And it's that makes it actually eco-friendly. And this is, I think, is the best part of it, because you can always find another usage for the metal and then for the raw materials used. And actually, the whole idea behind it is to make it more sustainable, more accessible, and that's why also these business parks are evolving, because I think people think of the future, they think of the sustainability. That's why we're actually pushing the technology and using all the modern technology and alternative energies to make it better and more sustainable for the people. And also, if speaking of, Michal mentioned that they're thinking of building this land plot of container village. If we connect all of these container villages, and that actually connects the whole economy in a whole, because in the previous days, really rich people used to build villas and stuff like that, and the people in the middle class, they could afford to go on holidays. But nowadays, the economy and the shared economy, I think, opens new ways for people to travel, to actually go abroad, to stay in a different place, and being all connected in this one hub and in this one economy, it actually shows so much potential for other people to travel, live, work abroad, and what else.
Yeah, I totally agree. And also, like a smart home solutions, this is also another thing what allows you in some way to co-share the space, whatever. I mean, like also home is a home. I mean, for me, this is nothing very personal. I mean, I like to arrange it in the way I like, like it's a space where I am spending a lot of time, especially now. But on the other hand, like I don't want to be tightened to it. Also, not tightened to the lawn. That's why also living in a smaller space, this is something better, because I mean, you are not relying on the constant money what you need to earn. Your life is also not only about making money is about the enjoyment, etc. But then you can share the home via some apps. You can control it. You don't need to disturb someone who's just throwing, as you say, like you can cut out the water or electricity and throw out the tenant if he's not paying the rent or whatever. But yeah, it's plenty of ideas connected to it. I mean, that's why I'm not surprised seeing you guys. I mean, related to the blockchain, to the smart home solutions, to the batteries. I mean, everything is related. At the end, it's a closed economy. Yes, it's about selling goods, what we have, and exchanging them.
Great. So, guys, we're close to actually finishing the conference and then this panel. If do you maybe have any questions from your side?
I have actually one to Cesar one more time. Cesar, how what in your opinion? I mean, because really, I was facing that problem actually this year. I mean, trying just to find a provider for the batteries connected to the solar panels or small wind turbines by the homes. And really, I mean, all I found was crazy expensive. I struggled just to even get from the consultants like some calculations, etc. Like how the capacity of the battery is supposed to be for a container 40 feet long, where ideally two people are living, permanently. And also, like, I mean, how you imagine it? Are there any solutions for it as you are within this field?
Sure. So ready to buy, I would say that it's difficult to find something with 2 years warranty and available in whole Europe and so on. It's going to be difficult this year, but next year there are going to be companies already releasing the first battery packs that are using as EV, so second life EV batteries, and they are going to reduce. They are telling us they are going to reduce at least half of the price of the energy storage, classical energy storage systems. And I can give you guys a couple of links offline, because all this is something that is a work in progress. I can give you some links to blogs and so on. Maybe you can publish it at the end of the conference. Yes. And I'm pretty optimistic that they are going to reduce the price of these battery packs, because if not, they're going. The classical energy storage system, they don't enable the needs that we have right now, and I agree with you. Yeah, and the amount of energy that you have to store for your container, this is something that I was thinking during the panel, and it depends a bit what are your needs, right? But basically, I think that with a 60 kilowatt hour battery pack, probably you are fine. Right, so you were doing some maths with 60 kilowatt. Would you be okay for I don't know, 4 or 5 days? We can use this as a kind of average energy that you will need, or
okay. So okay. 60 kilowatt hour battery. Yeah. I mean, this is something big, extraordinary big. This is something also pretty compact.
Well, this is not that big. This is the battery that a small EV has, and you can pack it in a way that is not gonna be huge in your container. You can put it outside, and also provide a kind of a small cooling system to increase the lifespan of the battery, and with that you will be quite good. I mean, this is. The beauty of that is that you are getting an EV battery almost directly from a car. So the price of this battery is going to be much more competitive than a classical storage system. And this is what these utility companies are aiming to use these batteries. Even if they have a couple of cells or a couple of modules that are not working perfectly, they're going to tell you. You're going to see perfectly what is the capacity of your battery. But it's going to reduce the price, because you are splitting the price of the battery between the car owner and you. And this is going to be... Sorry, this is the cat. Okay, you want to be live. Okay. And this is the purpose of using second life batteries, is to reduce the pressure of the car owners, because now 1/3 of the price of a EV is the battery.
It is.
And if you charge this 1/3 of the price to the owner of the car, okay, they are doing this nowadays. Okay, it doesn't make any sense. If you can extend this and you can say, okay, it's gonna be in the future, it's gonna be another owner of this battery. You can split in line. Okay, in a kind of timeline, you can split it in between 2-3 owners. So the utility companies, they are getting already the batteries, because now we are getting batteries from EVs. So 2 years ago, the supply was kind of really small, and the automotive companies, they were getting the batteries and they were keeping them, or they were just sending them to recycling. And now is when we start getting a constant supply of batteries, because this is important. We are a marketplace, so we need a supply, and the supply is starting now to be constant, and the utility companies are able to get healthy batteries. Okay, second life are still healthy batteries, and they're going to the market. So I will advise you to try to wait 1 year and a half, and you will start finding interesting products in the market.
It's very interesting. But okay, one thing. I mean, as recycling batteries, they have probably a smaller capacity efficiency than the new ones. So probably you're getting, I mean, something what is a bit bigger size.
Mhm.
So I mean, pointing that, where do you see the market for them? I mean, like here, like for powering houses, etc. I mean, having like a off-grid option. This is a great idea, I believe, because I mean, the size there doesn't matter that much. I mean, you can always find the extra cubic meter of a space, like by the
Exactly.
house or something.
Mhm.
But where else do you see the market for the recycled batteries?
Well, there are plenty of markets. You have data centers. Data centers, they need a backup power system. This is a must for them because
Sure.
the business of a data center is about providing a service 24/7, and they rely on power to build all the rest of the business. And they are also really freak about. They are really. You should say they are really people that they are always thinking in backup systems, backup cables, backup fiber optic, backup power supply systems. So there you have it. Hospitals. The same backup system. Volvo, I think I'm not disclosing anything confidential from Volvo, but they were using second life batteries for ferries because they have to cross the typical situation in Croatia, where you have 2 kilometers between the island and the land. And ferries they need a lot of current, but they don't need high performance batteries like a Tesla.
Mhm.
So they were using recycled batteries for that. You name it. We're having especially a demand for. Okay, this is another example. Battery supply for Ajax Arena. The Ajax team in Amsterdam, they have replaced almost, I think, 90% of their system with Tesla batteries. Yeah, and what you were saying about the capacity, you're right, but there are two strategies. You can get the battery pack directly from the car to your system. They need another BMS, battery management system, but normally what they are going to do is to select the modules. Okay, from a battery pack you have modules, and then you go down to the level of cells. You're going to get the modules, the healthy modules, and they're going to pack it again in a housing and use a small control system for your application. You have also in construction. You have plenty of in construction spaces where you need batteries. Why not to use the second life batteries? So
Sure.
there are plenty. So there where you don't need, you need a kind of good battery, with a good performance, but it's not a real critical application like driving, where if you go, the capacity of your battery goes down around 70 or 80%, and your experience as a driver is going to be a kind of lame because your car is going to drive 100 kilometers. This is nothing. There, second life batteries is your solution. It's cheaper, it's still reliable, and better technology. Yeah.
And then, like what's the lifespan of the recycled batteries? How you estimate it? I don't know. I seen that the Tesla cars, taxi drivers driving them, having a couple 100,000 kilometers. I don't know if they were replacing batteries in the meantime or not. I was reading some articles about it, but yeah, I mean, it's lasting a couple of years in the cars, being high efficient. But how the second life looks like?
Yeah. Okay. Batteries are a complicated piece of technology, and they are. I wouldn't say that they are organic, but they behave like human beings sometimes. So they don't like too much heat. They don't like too much cold. They want to eat. So to be between, so you have to charge the battery between 80% and 20%. So it's like human. You don't want to eat a lot because you don't feel later on you feel a kind of full and so on. And they behave sometimes like human beings. You cannot explain why. Okay, so you're going to have batteries that are going to be faulty, but this happens everywhere in every technology. And now you're asking me how to make prediction of the lifespan of the batteries. Look, this is one of the things that we are doing in Circunomics. We're developing machine learning and artificial intelligence models to predict when the capacity of a battery is going to hit a level that is not suitable for this use case. Okay, and if you have the telemetry of the battery, okay, our models can predict quite good when it's going to hit a level of capacity, or when within you're going to have problems with the battery. and in time. So we are trying to predict when it's going to happen and what kind of problem. And this information has a lot of value for the users, because you can send them this information and say, look, guys, we think that in 6 months your battery is not going to be okay. It's going to behave in this way. And you made a decision. You have to make a decision. You want to replace it or you want to keep it and see what's happened. Normally we're right, so better if you believe us. And we are doing also this for the first life batteries, because this is also interesting for the car industry, because they can plan when batteries are going to get back to them. And this is really important. Batteries is a difficult asset to store. You cannot store batteries. You cannot pile up batteries one on the other. So if they know how many batteries they're going to get, they can start selling these batteries in the market. Okay, and once the battery hits the warehouse of the car manufacturer, can sell it, or just maybe from the car goes directly to recycler, or goes to a utility company who is going to reuse the battery. So this is the idea of using analytics for prediction.
Such a complex product, such a complex issue it is, really.
Exactly. Yeah, and this is the business opportunity for us. So this is the beauty, because it's the fun of technology that we're trying to fix problems in all the chain, in all the supply chain, try to overcome a limitation of the batteries as asset. And then from a business point of view, it's also challenging because you have a lot of stakeholders and so on. So it's really interesting. Yeah.
Great. Really appreciate that knowledge. This is something what you are not seeing, so often, what you don't hear so often. There's also one more interesting, I think, case, like what you do after all when the battery is not being able to reuse. Like, is there any way to reuse some of the materials, or this is like a waste, a dangerous waste?
This is the best news about batteries. They say that they are capable to recycle up to 95% of the raw materials, and this is beautiful to hear, because it means that the circularity is real there. You can get real circular. 5% of waste. Okay, maybe we can improve in time, but 95% of waste in such a complex product, I think, is great. And one of the ex-CTO of Tesla, he has built a really interesting company in the States, and he's hitting 98% for I don't know, 50% of the batteries that he's collecting. He's also cherry picking the batteries that he's recycling, but he's getting to 98%, and this is incredible. And I hope that we get better and better, and we get close to 99%, and then the battery thing is going to be real. It's not going to be only a marketing slogan that the companies are using for getting attention.
Because this is very common, like a point. What are the people who are really not into the electrifying car business pointing out like that? This is a dangerous asset. You have to store later on. You cannot recycle it. I heard it too many times, and then hearing something very opposite this bringing a big optimism into the industry.
I think, from my point of view, it's not going to be the e-mobility. I think it's the way to go, and I think we have to bet on it. But it's going to be a mix with the fuel cells. I think in the future we have to combine lithium batteries with new technologies that the people are working on, and I'm pretty sure we're going to get something valuable in the next years. And it's going to be the mix to base all this on batteries. I think it's maybe it's going to work for 10, 15 years, but then we need something else, because batteries are great, but from where is coming the energy? That is, for me, the big question here. From where is coming the energy that we're going to use to move all these vehicles that we are using right now? And there we can get probably in a rabbit hole, because the question is, when we go nuclear, we should go ahead and try to figure out how to make fusion in a better way. So, because also for you guys, from where we're going to get the electricity and the energy to power on the containers and to move the containers and everything.
Yeah, there's still a lot of the questions unanswered, but I think that's for the future. And well, it was great to hear that you can have up to 95, 98% up to recycling of the batteries. That's really good news, and that's very, very good to hear that you can use so much of the raw materials. And thank you, Cesar, for explaining. Thank you all guys for participating. Now, maybe let's go to the questions from the audience. And the first one is actually touching the topic that we were just discussing about the batteries. And what do you think? Could you comment on when secondhand batteries from automotive will be available for private customers for their container homes and purchases?
As I was saying, I'm pretty sure that the utility companies are going to be ready around next year, where you are going to be buying a real second life battery, EV battery, in a energy storage system.
Great. That's also good news. So we should just plan a little bit ahead, and then we're there. Yeah, the second question is actually a little off topic, but it's about 3D printing. So when will the question is, when will I be able to have one for personal use so I can match my neighbor's purchases? Could that be the most important technology for the future? So basically about the 3D technology. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I think it's a good technology. It has lots of promises. Basically, it depends on the scale what you want to print. But I think personally, some of the technology is already accessible. But I wouldn't think about printing, something that your neighbor purchased. But basically, what you cannot. I think the biggest innovation in 3D printing is that you are able to print something that couldn't be engineered in another way. So you can basically print something that couldn't be built up, or how to say, that would be like very expensive and very engineering consuming thing to build in a just classical way of building. So for example, there is a way of you can 3D print the whole engine basically without any details as a whole monolithic piece of working still. So I think the biggest innovation is in that you can do things that couldn't be done in a just usual way. But other than that, it's a great technology.
There was also several videos recently appearing on LinkedIn, especially like about printing houses, like some small machinery with the concrete and then printing all the walls, etc. So I think this is also something what is getting a bit of interest, but I don't know. I'm not the biggest fan of concrete, and when I see that, I'm thinking, okay, what will happen when we will have to demolish it? This will be so much waste. This is so heavy, so inefficient way. But yeah, printing the mechanical parts. I also seen like I'm pretty interested in the automotive sector. And there is a lot of older cars which are going to be repaired, like using 3D printing. Parts are missing, and based like on that, on technical drawings from the past. Just matter of digitalizing it and reprinting the parts. Of course, like some of that cannot be reprinted in the 3D printer because of the materials, but that can be made out of some polyethylene, etc., or different materials used in the 3D printers. It is pretty cool. It is really solving a lot of problems.
So Cesar, do you have any comments on 3D printing topics?
Yeah, I can only subscribe what you were saying, guys, and I love also. I have done it 2 times in my life, and I think maybe it could be something useful as well in continuous housing, where you have small pieces of the construction or the door or whatsoever that has a lot of stress, and time to time they got broken. It would be great if you can print these pieces and you don't have to go to Amazon and explore 1,000 hours online to find this piece, and you can print it yourself. You put it again you replace the broken one, and you keep going. This is something that I would love to see in the next years in 3D printing market, that the manufacturers they are publishing part of the CADs to enable users to repair parts in some utilities at home. Yeah.
Thank you. Maciej, do you have any comments concerning this topic?
To be honest with you, I don't have like a much insight on 3D printing. I believe that one of my colleagues was using some kind of a small 3D printer, so maybe he was doing some kind of a thing for neighbor purchases. I'm not sure about that.
Well, on my side, I can actually comment on 3D printing from the articles that I've read in the past few weeks and months. Basically, I love what they're doing with 3D printing in the military industry. They're actually accessing things, for example, I'm not a huge fan of military and then conflicts in general, but the general idea behind 3D printing used in military is that you can print some spare parts for the cars, or you can print some other things that you need on spot when you're actually off-grid in the middle of a desert or somewhere where it's difficult to arrange logistics and transportation. So in the terms of time management, it's actually a really great thing when you think of it. And as Michal mentioned about the 3D house printing, I think at first I was really excited about the idea, but when I see more of it being realized, I see a lot of downsides of the whole thing. And I think there are some things you should do in a certain way, and maybe 3D house printing is not one of them. But 3D printing is definitely a huge part of the future, and I think that some things and some materials can be 3D printed in a very good way. And I think it's a really great way to use 3D printing in housing restoration. When you have like old parts of the house, it saves you a lot of time to actually 3D print the same thing than to give it to a person who's going to spend months or even years just developing this detail. And it's incomparable when speaking of costs.
I see more potential here, like in the architecture than in the construction itself. Like there's a lot of things, details, architectural details, what you wish to have done, and then finding a manufacturer for that, for making it. This is pretty difficult. Right now, I'm looking for a certain type of stairs, and this is something quite big. But again, bringing the issue, waiting time at least 10 weeks, the pricing crazy. And a lot of limitations, and there's also about smaller things, decoration, home interior, etc. Like having option just to print that what you wish to have there, what doesn't exist or not necessarily is affordable. Then it's a great way of doing it. But yeah, I am not deeply into the topic, so just touching it.
Okay, guys, so I think we're covered for today. Big thanks to everyone who participated, and for the listeners, I hope that we made an interesting panel for you guys and you had the opportunity to learn about technologies for the future. So this is it for our event for now, and stay tuned to join the next events. We have a lot of information that we're gonna recycle in our minds and prepare a lot of new information for you for the next topics. So thank you guys for joining, and thank you all the speakers that joined in. Take care.
Take care. Thank you for hosting.
Take care.
Thank you for
Bye.
having us. Bye.